Hello, everyone. How are you guys doing? I'm so sorry. I'm trying to text everybody to let them know I'm live, and for some reason, like it didn't go through, and then I had to redo it, which I'm trying to do now, and I can't see my face right now, or I can't see like the screen. So welcome if you are watching. I am just trying to get this. I'm trying to send out a text notification saying I'm live right now. So if you happen to be on the page, welcome. Let me know you're here. Say hello. Let me know if you're new watching. I'm just trying to type really fast, and it's hard to type and talk about two different things. I had this all ready to go. And I guess I need it. Anyway, I hit send, and then it was like, it took me to the login screen and erased everything I did. So that's always lovely, right? So if you're on my text list, you are about to get a text. Something like, just being I was prepared. I promise you I was prepared, but apparently I wasn't prepared enough. Okay, send now. Send now. All right. How is everybody doing today? Hey, Danielle. You watch me scrambling. You see scrambling. Hello, Lynn. Hello, Chris. Oh, thank you. Aren't they so cute? Like all the colors, they need to be redone. But I'm going to redo them in the same colors because I love them. I just love these colors together. And summer will be over soon, and I won't be able to use those colors much longer. So here we are. Okay. I spent this morning, you guys, trying to plan something fun for us to do, for you to watch me do, I guess, really. I'm going to move this camera a little bit further out. And so I got a bunch of markers in my shop. And so I thought we would do something with those that I have. Yeah. So here we are. Here we are. So I'm going to be using these dual brush pens today. And we're going to make a little lettering design with, sorry, camera was still a little too close. You know, the things you just have to like this about me because hey Candy, how are you? Because this is just, this is real life, okay? Like I'm just trying to do all the things. I really need to be working on these workbooks over here, but I wanted to come say hi to you guys and do live. So here we are. So this is one of my lettering designs for the Happy Lettering Club, which is my online lettering membership group where I do like weekly classes in. And at the beginning of the month, I give them, I don't know, 10 to 12 downloads that we kind of use to either practice with, or why is there this delay? Practice with, or they can just use it to practice on their own, trace, do all of the things. So this is one of them. I have my other camera, so I got a shadow here. And then I'm going to use this watercolor paper. I got this at Dollar Tree. It's okay. It's not the best, but I have a whole tablet of it, so we're going to use it. I'm going to use it. So I've got that. And then, just crumpled it all up. And then I'm going to be using some colors out of this pack here. And I have this pack on my website. And I said I was going to link it in the notes, and I didn't. I'll link that in a minute. So I'm going to be using these to make kind of a watercolor background. And then we're going to trace this design on our sheet. I've got some other pens. I have the starter pack here on my website too. So I'm going to be using pens out of that just so you can kind of see how they work and all of the things. So anyway, let's get started. So I'm going to take this. This is a watercolor paper. You could use mixed media paper if you wanted to. And I have this design here. So you can kind of see the paper through. And I just printed this out on my computer. That's not right. That's not right. On my printer. Oh, you guys. Thank you, Danielle. So Danielle with Imperfect Dust, those of you that like to letter, y'all go follow her if you're not already following her, because she's amazing. She's way better than me. But she has a template group, so to speak, where she does SVG files, and her work is amazing. It's so good. But if you want to follow her and you know, get all the lettering fun. You know, if you're like me, I just like lettering. So I like to watch all different kinds of people do things all different kinds of ways. Okay, so I have my printout. I have my watercolor paper. And then I have this graphite paper here. And I'm just going to put it the shiny side down. Now this is kind of an old loved piece of graphite paper. You can see all the markings on it. And I kind of like them better when they're like this because they're not as dark. So, sorry, I just had to make sure my computer was plugged in. There's like kind of a little bit of a delay here, and I don't know what the deal is. Not a delay, but I can see like the connection isn't great. So anyway, if you have a brand new sheet of this graphite paper, sometimes it will leave like kind of black smudgy stuff on your paper. So just be careful with it, that you're not like rubbing your hand all over it, like, you know. And then I just outline, kind of run my pencil through the middle of the letters. What am I doing? Can we just have a redo? Can we have a redo this morning? Because I feel like I need a redo. Okay, we're flipping this over. We're starting over. Hello, if you're just watching. This is me, Jennifer, being scattered. Okay, I'm going to do this. Hey, Marie, how are you? Hey, Tanya. Welcome. Welcome, everybody that's watching. Good morning, Patsy. We're just starting over. We're just going to pretend like we're starting over, and yes. So today I'm going to use some watercolor paper and this printout that I have for Happy Lettering Club. Any of you have done a live before, you know. Sometimes, you know, sometimes I just get so involved in like talking and looking at people's names that I start doing things. And I'm like, what am I doing? You know, like your brain can't be on autopilot for like multiple different things, I guess. So this is a printout from the Happy Lettering Club this month. And so I'm going to use this and show you guys how to make a fun little lettering design. We're going to be using this pack of Tombow Brush Pens. This is on my website. These are on my website listed. If anybody is interested, or if you have these, you could like, you could use different colors. You don't have to use the colors that I'm using. So I'm also going to get I forgot to get some water. So I'm going to use my little paint bucket here. I'll just use my drinking water. Hey, Debbie, how are you? How are y'all doing? How's your week going? My week is has been crazy. For those of you who don't know, we're getting ready to sell our house. And we are going to build, and my husband is building me a new shop and a new office, and we had pictures for our house yesterday. So I have been like frantically over the last several days running around like crazy, trying to get things ready, so they look all pretty for the pictures, and I don't have time for that because I need to be working. So okay, so I'm going to get just a paintbrush. It doesn't really matter what shape, what size. Obviously, a little bit bigger for what I'm about to do would be best. Water, and then this is just like it's basically a piece of laminated paper. You could use any kind of like waxy paper or anything to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to make some of these and put them on my site. So I'm going to get this pink, and I'm just going to put some pink there. Let's do orange. Yellow. What else? Blue. And I'm just scribbling on here because I'm going to use the water from my brush to do some watercoloring here. Okay. What color did I not use? Red. Here. Marie says it's been a good week so far. Hoping you're doing well too. Patsy said, I'm in the process of selling my home also. It is a pain. Yes, it is. I have been like avoiding like doing too much because I know what's coming, like the showing and all of the things, and I just don't want to deal with it. I'm going to use a white because I also forgot that I have this idea. As I was cleaning my blending palette off, I thought, oh, maybe that's why I didn't get the water. You guys just forgive me. My brain goes like in 20 different directions. I'm going to try this. I'm just putting this with a white here. I wonder. I was cleaning this off and I thought, oh, but I could use a white for that. For what I'm going to show you guys too. I'm just dipping it in the marker. Not bad. It might take a really long time though. So I'm going to put this up. Yeah, so dipping the paintbrush in some water and just kind of running it all over this. This is watercolor paper. You could use mixed media paper too, if you would like. But this just is going to give you, I mean, it's basically watercolor. Like these Tombow markers here they're like watercolor markers kind of. They're blendable. So you can do all kinds of fun little projects like this with them, and that's what I like to use them for, is like blending the colors, doing some watercolor. Not too much there. Now this is Dollar Tree watercolor paper, so you get things like that you wouldn't get if this was a little bit nicer, better quality. But I bought this whole tablet and I need to use it. So yeah, I've been avoiding the process, and so I had to like go through, when they take pictures of your house, it needs to look super nice and pretty, and I don't want to deal with it working from home. Deal with not just showing it, but like also like the whole process of moving, and like I want to move and sell my house, I guess, but I could also be fine staying here. But we are building a separate office for me so that I am not working inside my house, because if any of you have ever worked from home, you know, it can get hard to make that separation between home and work. So that's what we are working on. So my husband has been working on that. We have a couple of acres, like 30 minutes away from us. And so we bought a portable building and moved it on our property, and he has it all gutted and ready to start the rebuild on it. So it's pretty exciting. It is exciting. What's not exciting is that I have to sell my house, and then we will start building. So there's going to be a little gap of time, and we'll either rent something or maybe get an RV or something like that. I don't know, and I'm just not looking forward to any of that. Hey, Miss Juanita, how are you? You got a blending palette when you ordered from Tombow. Nice to see how to use it. Yes, I just like put my markers on there, or you could mix colors, Juanita. Like you could, take two colors and kind of mix them up. It works good. I use it all the time for this sort of stuff. So, hey, Amy, how are you? Hey, Carlene, how are you doing? Any chance there is ability to get this lettering sample to try it on our own? I'd like to join your lettering group, but want to try a piece first. Currently a member of Sign Maker Society. Carlene, you can use any of the templates that we have in Sign Maker Society. There's a bunch. If you'll look in the project vault, there's a whole bunch of like lettering templates in there, and you could just use the same process with any of those, and it will work. It will work just the same. This is I like these colors in this particular pack because they're just kind of, it's just good primary colors. I'm just trying to do like kind of the middle part yellow, and then I'm going to go back and like mix in some darker stuff like around the edges. The good thing about watercolors is like you don't have to have anything, or about doing like a background like this, you don't have to have anything too perfect. Like you can just kind of play and just make some sort of a, like, what's the word I'm looking for, y'all? Like, what's wrong with me today? Make some sort of a like colored background that is no particular design, but it's just colors, like just being creative with it. The words aren't words aren't being my friend right now today. I don't know what my deal is. I had to put like everything away in my office for the photos, and then I was getting ready for the live, and I was like, oh, like I didn't have my camera in here, my like overhead camera. So I had to like pull that out, like reposition it, plug it back in. And I think that just like scrambled me because I was like, when you're like ready and prepared, and then you remember at the last minute that there's something else that you needed to do. I feel like that was me this morning. And so it's got me all crazy. Oh, look, see, okay. Now I'm getting my white and using this, kind of smooths out these edges just a little bit. I don't know, I just thought it might be like a good in a minute, I'm going to dab it in some of the colors and just see what happens. You know, I like to do these. Y'all know I like to do these Tuesday lives and just experiment. It's my time to like play and have fun and just do something. Do something fun. So sometimes it turns out really amazing, and sometimes y'all just watch me just fumble through life. But I think watching that process is good because it helps people see that even though I do this for a living, I don't always have it all together, right? Like, it's not a pre-scripted, everything's put together, and I'm going to make it look insanely easy so that when you go to do it, you're frustrated and wondering why it's not that easy for you. Like, I like to be real about it and go, hey, look, you know, like I've been doing this for years, and I'm even still like, oh, that doesn't look good. I messed that up. Because that is the truth, and that is really what it's like behind the scenes. Like, it's never, sometimes it works out where it's all put together wonderfully, but, you know, a lot of times it does not. So what you're getting from me is just real inside Jennifer's head, which is sometimes a good place to be, and sometimes it's not such a great place to be. I really wish this is, like, if you have this, like, piling situation happening here where the paper is kind of rolling up, just let it dry and you can, like, brush it off. It's not the end of the world. It's annoying, but it's not the end of the world. Patsy, this is your first time watching, and to be honest, it's really relaxing. Good. Hopefully you're not like, this girl is crazy and she does not have her stuff together. Sometimes that can be very true, but most of the time I have too many things together, and so that's my problem. I'm like doing a bunch of different things, and you know, a little bit much. So hey Leanne, welcome. Hey Maria, how are you? I missed some comments up here. Dixie said the only good thing about moving is the packing process forces you to go through everything. I moved from Texas to Tennessee 2 years ago after being in the same home. Oh, since 1980. Wow, Dixie, you had a lot of stuff to go through. That's like, we've been here for 8 years, and that's kind of like what I was thinking when I was packing, or yeah, like packing up some stuff, just kind of clearing out some clutter. And I was like, you know, you find things that you just had because they've just been sitting in that spot and they've had a little home, and you haven't been forced to think, should I get rid of this? Should I not get rid of this? Like stuff for your kids, you know, that you keep, and you're like, oh, here's, you know, one child's whatever from a bazillion years ago. We still have it and we never got rid of it, you know? And it gave me, like, we moved around a lot growing up. So I kept some, like, we have some stuff, but you know, through the years you kind of start to lose it. And so I always was really good about keeping my kids' things and all of that. And so I have 3 girls. They're spaced very far apart. I have a 27-year-old, an 18-year-old, and an almost 6-year-old, because for some reason I'm crazy. But so they all, like, there's certain things that I was able to, you know, hand down to the, you know, hand down like toys or, you know, certain things. Some things are timeless, right? Like Barbies or, you know, stuff like that. And where am I going with this story? Where was I going? It always makes me so happy, like, to be able to use something from one daughter to the next. Like, it's just nostalgic, I guess. And so you realize, like, how many things that you just have that you kept that you didn't ever get rid of just because you didn't have to get rid of it, right? And then you're, like, forced to make that decision, like, should I get rid of it? Should I keep it? And it's just, it's so hard because like I want to keep everything, but then also you're like, okay, do I really need to keep this? Like, how important is it really? And when you stay in the same place, you almost, you don't have to make that decision. Like, it's just it has a spot, it has a home, it's there. You know, you're not having to like think about, should I get rid of it? Should I keep it? I don't know. It's all that probably had zero point to it, but that's kind of just what I'm going through. Like, I don't want to just get rid of things because I don't want to have to shift them around or move them, but at the same time, you know, you try to be practical about it, right? Like, how important is this? I don't know. I tend to keep things just in case because I don't know. Are any of y'all like that? Danielle said, what made you start lettering and sign making? I love your door hangers. They stand out from other door hangers I've seen. Oh, thank you. So it was just, honestly, I feel like just how any craft starts. Like, you just start it because you enjoy it. And then people are like, oh, will you make me this? Will you make me that? So that's kind of how I started out. I've never, like, I growing up, I wasn't like, my mom was always very, very crafty, and she did all kinds of things, but she didn't like do craft projects with us. Like, you know, she was just always creative, like making Christmas gifts and things like that. So I wouldn't really say that I grew up around it, just because, like, she didn't do craft. Like, I don't remember doing like crafts together, but I didn't really start kind of getting into that kind of stuff until I became a mom, and then, you know, like, wanted to do stuff for my house. You know, you're trying to DIY it, and then you get really into it. Like, I started with scrapbooking. Scrapbooking was like my first kind of crafty thing that I got into. And so that's really where it all began. And then, you know, doing some stuff, I did some sewing and whatnot. But over the years, it just kind of evolved into painting. I discovered painting, and I was like, this is really great because it's an inexpensive craft, right? Like, acrylic paint doesn't cost very much. And I would just get like some wood cutouts from Michael's or, you know, wherever. And I have to let the water dry on this palette before I can add any more yellow. So I started doing that, just kind of stuff around my house, and then I started making signs. Or somebody at work saw me making stuff, and they were like, oh, you should sell those. And I was like, no, nobody's gonna buy these. And they were like, no, that you should. And anyway, so some people at work started asking me, this is the short version, because I know a lot of you have heard this story before. But a lot of people at work just started asking, and it just sort of evolved into, I think, like how a lot of us start out, started evolving into like more and more, and then it was exciting, it was fun, it was extra money, and all of the things. And it just, then I started making door hangers, and I saw somebody at work had ordered a door hanger off Etsy, and I had never seen one before, and it was a pumpkin, and she had it delivered to our office where we worked, and I saw it, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is that? I have to make that. And I was hooked. I started making door hangers, then started doing paint parties, and then I, you know, just did basic lettering on signs. Never was I like a lettering like person at all, ever. So I started kind of doing that, and then people at paint parties would be like, "Oh, can you write whatever?" Like I had my basic like welcome or an initial. Like I didn't really do Merry Christmas. I did very basic stuff, and it was all like in print. And people started like requesting things at paint parties, and like I just had to do it on the spot. Like I was like, so I would just like find something on my phone that was close to what what I wanted to write, and I would just kind of look on my phone, look at the writing, and just try to mimic it the best that I could. And my early stuff was nothing spectacular, let me just tell you. I posted something not too long ago. I think it's cool to see like people's like where they started, like it's encouraging, I guess, when you can see that, okay, they weren't just, because I think in our heads we just think, oh, these people are just born with this like amazing ability to hand letter, right? And that's not true. Like I was never, my handwriting is not even really that great, honestly. This paintbrush is like flaking off stuff from the handle. So anyway, it just kind of evolved. I just had no choice. Like people would ask, I mean, I guess I could have told them no, but that's not me. I'm not going to do that. So I would just kind of figure it out. And, after a while, you kind of get practice at it. And then that kind of modern calligraphy where you have the thin and the thick strokes started getting more popular. And so I just looked on YouTube and saw how they did it. And then, of course, I had to practice it, and it was not perfect at first. But after a while, it's just practice, right? Like Danielle, you do hand lettering. Practice is like you can't practice something all the time and not get better at it, right? Like it's, like I know a lot of people just think that, make the assumption that you just have to be really good at it naturally, but it's really not true. It's practice. Through practice, you kind of figure it out. You make mistakes. You figure out how to correct your mistakes, and you'll get better over time. And that's what a lot of people don't. We want an easy solution. We don't want to. It's like when you're trying to lose weight and people are like, well, just exercise and cut down on your calories. And you're like, no, but can you just tell me how you did it like really fast? So I don't want to, that takes too long. I think it's the same with lettering, which brings me to a good point. This is a good little segue into something. This, enjoy the process. So the point to lettering or learning lettering is not like, of course you want to get better at it, right? Like you want to get better at it, but also if you'll learn to embrace the process of it and learn to have fun doing it, then it doesn't become this like frustration, like something that you're like, where you get mad at yourself or you get frustrated with yourself. Like, why can't I get this figured out? It becomes something that you just enjoy doing, and you kind of forget about trying to get better, and you just enjoy the process. And then you look down one day and you're like, oh, I'm so much better now. Like, you almost don't realize your progression because you're having fun doing the thing and you're not focusing so much on the outcome. And so that's what a lot of people don't, a lot of people that are trying to learn lettering for, a craft, or maybe they're just wanting to get better or whatever, like they forget to enjoy the process, because that's really the whole point to it, in my opinion, is the relaxation that you get from it. This paper is like got all kinds of piling on it. The relaxation that you get from it, to me, is the fun part of doing it. And when you're enjoying it and you're relaxing and you're having fun, that's when other inspiration will come to you. And when other things will happen. Just like, with my business starting, like I was just doing it for fun as a hobby. There was no pressure. When we put pressure on ourselves, it's harder to create art if you put pressure on yourself. Like, creativity does not work well with being anxious or being pressured. So like if I have something, say I have a due date or a deadline, I have to like get a design out by a certain time. A lot of times, like it'll take me longer because there's that pressure to get it done, right? Versus if I just sit down just to do something for fun, then it becomes, then I'll start whipping out all these designs. Like they'll start just flowing like there's no tomorrow. It's so much easier. But if I'm trying to do it because I'm like, oh, I'm rushed, or like I need to get it done for whatever reason, it's just harder to create like that. So if you can allow yourself to be creative and enjoy the process and enjoy what you're doing and realize that you're doing it for the enjoyment purposes of it and not the outcome, you'll learn a lot faster. You'll grow a lot quicker. You'll learn a lot faster. And at the end of the day, like, isn't that why we craft? It's just because it's relaxing and it's fun and it's therapeutic. So if that is the reason, then we shouldn't put all this pressure on ourselves to make it look amazing. Like it's the act of doing it, right? It's kind of like in life, okay? Like in life, we want to be successful, or you want to make more money. Why do you want to make more money? So that you can go do things and have fun. Why do you want to do things and have fun? Because it's enjoyable. It brings you happiness. It brings you, time with your family. So if we could learn how to do that without having the money or having the fancy vacation, but just take some time to enjoy time with your family, just going outside or doing something. Like the whole point to all of that is to have more time. I guess that's what I'm trying to say. Well, the whole point to making more money is to have more time, right? You don't have to work as much. So, but you have time. You can have that time. Like we build this up in our head, like the outcome is the outcome is what we're striving for, but really it's the process. I'm just going on and on about all of the things, but I heard somebody once say this, and this really resonated with me enough where I was like, oh, okay, wow. Like, they said, okay, when you leave to go on vacation, you're going somewhere, right? Like you're going on a trip, and then you're going to go on the trip, and then you're going to come home. So you're going to end up at the same place you started, right? Like before you leave from vacation. But so why are we so excited to go on vacation? Like we're just going to end up in the same spot we are now, right? Like I'm just going to be home at the end. That's the final you know, destination, I guess. So what's the point of even going on vacation? Well, you go on vacation because you are experiencing the travel and the fun and the time with your family and all of the things that come with that. So it's not the vacation, it's not the destination that you're seeking. It's the traveling, the actual vacation, the doing of the thing. So it's the same in life. Like the experience is what you're really after, not the destination. That makes sense. Because if you get to the end and you didn't experience all the stuff and all the fun, then what's the point? What is the point? So, you know, this is my talk to you this morning. It's really my talk to myself. It's really me telling myself, stop worrying about the destination and worry about the process. So anyway, that was my thought behind creating this enjoy the process piece. I mean, I have to just be done with this. It's got too much yellow in the middle. Maybe if I put some pink down here. I just want it balanced. I don't feel like it's very balanced. So a lot of times I will letter stuff or I will create things like as a message to myself. Like those are words that I needed to hear. And I love it when other people are like, oh, okay, I needed that reminder or I needed this. And I'm like, good. I created it because I needed it. And so I'm so glad that somebody else was able to get something out of it. I'm going to get my little dryer here. If it's plugged in. No, it's not. Let me plug it in. Yet another thing I unplugged for my pictures yesterday. I'm gonna have to go online and like save the pictures of my house because it will never look that perfect ever again. Patty, you do murals of Disney characters and animals for little kids' rooms. Oh, that is awesome. I actually, in my early painting years, okay, actually that is the very first thing I ever painted. I've talked about this before and I was supposed to post a picture and I didn't. We had moved into a new house and my kids had a game room and I just took all the leftover paint and I was just gonna like paint stuff. And it was just around the time where that Trading Spaces was really popular. And so I was like, I'm gonna just try to paint a chalkboard on the wall. And so I did that. And I just found it like super relaxing. And I was like, maybe I'll do some polka dots. And then it just kind of like I kept doing more and more and more because it was so fun and so relaxing. I'm trying to make it go the other way because it was curling up. And so that's really how my love of painting started. And so I lettered this little quote on their wall and I just freehanded it. Well, I wrote it out with chalk first. And then anyway, that's how I started painting because I loved doing it. Now I'm not like I'm very good with painting straight lines and circles and shapes and lettering. I am not an artist that is like a real artist, you know, like mine's very basic. So I think that was really cool. Okay, Marie, it's a great message and I needed it too, especially with this new chapter in my business. Yes, Marie just got a whole big add-on office space and that's amazing. Yeah, you just gotta enjoy the process and it's the hardest thing to do, right? Like enjoying that is the hardest thing to do because we just want to be the best. But I tell people all the time, with lettering, like if you already knew everything and there was nothing else to learn and you were already the best, then it would be boring to letter, right? Like it would be boring because you're not like growing, you're not learning. The same with life. If you had everything that you wanted to accomplish and achieve and you were there at that spot, there wouldn't be the same amount of fulfillment out of it, right? Like you wouldn't enjoy it as much. So there is enjoyment out of the process of it. So enjoy the process. I am constantly learning new things all the time. All the time. With lettering, that's why I like lettering, is because there's always so much to learn, because you can use it for so many different things. And there's always something to learn about it. There's always new techniques. So when I do this, so I'm transferring this image with some graphite paper, just a pencil, graphite paper, and it's going to transfer the image onto the paper. Be careful not to rub your hand too much on it. My sheet is very old, so it's not going to smudge as much, but like think of it as like carbon paper. Don't get cheap kind from Amazon because it is like black and it will get black stuff all over. I like the kind from Hobby Lobby or from your, like, you know, you can get it at Michael's, Walmart. It's a little nicer of a product. I just run my pencil through the middle of the words just because I know where to make it thin and thick. But if you are doing this and you wanted to just outline it, that's fine too. Like outline the thickness of the letters, you could do that. But I just run my pencil through the middle and then I just decide what to make thin and thick. Like I'll look at my sheet here and I mean, even though I made this, it's my handwriting, but I'll look at it and see, okay, that's where I made the lines thicker, that's where I made them thinner. Or just do your own thing. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't have to look like this. You can eyeball it and just pencil it on your paper too, if that is easier for you. Like if you don't have graphite paper, you can do that. Another thing you could do is go over the back of it like this with a pencil, or watercolor marker would be best. So you could do like this. I'll show you. Take this. You just have to make sure you scratch over the areas that have the pencil. But that, if you write over the exact area like this hard, it will like transfer it onto the paper. I'm not doing a very good job of it, but you can. Well, this watercolor paper, look, you could just even just push it hard into the paper and it just makes an indentation. That would be a really good thing to do. Anyway, I usually do this method with watercolor pencil. So this is a drafting pencil, so it's probably just not working as well. But nonetheless. Okay, now I have indentions in my paper from the other side. So I'm going to use two different markers. One is this Faber-Castell marker. These are in my starter packs because they just come out with a dual tip. So we have a really skinny side and then the fat side. And this is what I use for signs. This is what marker that I use for signs. I don't know what else I was going to say. Okay, so I like the felty tip of this, but I'm also probably going to use a little bit, use this Tombow Dual marker pen. This is also in these kits, and it's my favorite lettering pen. So I'm just going to use whatever I feel like I need. If you wait, you got to wait till this is dry though. You just trace over it if you want to make these. I usually make the lines thicker as I go. Let me see how I did it here. And then you can fill them in. But if you you need to wait till your paper is dry, or else it will bleed. But if you wait till it's dry, it should not bleed. Hopefully it won't, and it won't make a liar out of me. So I'm just going to go through and just trace these, and then I go back and fill them in. Sometimes I'll do it letter by letter. Honestly, it just really depends on not necessarily my mood, but sometimes I just do it letter by letter, and sometimes I don't. I don't really know why. But either way, it doesn't matter. But I'm always like going through and like reshaping things, smoothing out my lines. So don't be afraid to do that. Now, if you were using this end, you could do brush lettering, which is kind of, you get these thinner and thicker strokes by the amount of pressure that you put on your marker. You could do that too. That's just like a whole other skill in itself, honestly. It's a little hard. Most of the time I just use faux calligraphy. So that's how you would do that. There's a ton of different pens out there that are great. I like this brand and this kind because this is what I use on my signs. But for paper, I love also these Fudanowski pens. It's a brush pen, but it's like, it is a much smaller brush pen. And I like it because you can get very like thin lines, or you can press down really hard and get these thick lines. These are my favorite because I feel like I can kind of, like I'm sketching with them. These actually might be good for this. But I don't use these for the lettering on signs. I just use these on paper. So everybody's different, and everybody has things that they would prefer. So you just got to find what works for you. But I do have these starter packs of like my favorite stuff. Because obviously when you start out, you don't necessarily know what is going to be your favorite. And I also do this when I'm just kind of making these final adjustments, like straightening out the lines and stuff, I will turn my paper to get the angles that I want. That might not be traditionally what I'm supposed to do, but that's what I do. It's all about the final product, right? Like, it's not about the final destination, but it's when you are making something, you're attempting to finish the project, right? Like, make it pretty. It doesn't matter how long it took you to do it, that you had fun and that you completed it. Make sure I don't contradict myself with that statement, but you know what I mean. Like, you can, any way that you go about doing it is fine. There's no rules saying you have to do it a certain way. I guess that's really what I'm trying to say. So you'll want to use a pen or a marker if you're doing this technique. It is not like you want something that's more like archival ink, permanent, because all pens are made with different inks. So like Sharpies are like made with alcohol ink, and that is going to give you a different, the pigment is different, and then sometimes the alcohol-based inks bleed. Then you have your like archival inks, like I think your Zig pens and the Faber-Castell, the Pitt Artist pens. Those are India ink, so they're not going to bleed. So it just depends on, if you used a watercolor ink, it might tend to kind of bleed if your paper is still a little bit wet. So pay attention to what kind of ink you're using in your pen. They're not all the same. Which is something I didn't really know when I started lettering. You just think a marker is a marker. Best thing is to color your paper, let it air dry. Yes, agree. I agree with that one, Eva. This one is a Tombow Dual, and this one is a Pitt Artist pen. And both of these come in, I have a little starter pack on my website, and both of those are in the starter pack. Both of these markers. You can get the starter pack by going to my website. Here, let me just link it in the comments real fast. Like I said, I was going to do it at the beginning, and then I never did. I'm just going to link the section of my the lettering supplies on my website, so that you can see all of the things. These are in there also. And I forget that I'm streaming this in my group. And need to put it there too. Okay, there. Those should be linked. Okay, let's see. I just keep going kind of back and forth, but I like both pens. This one is just going to be a little bit faster. Another thing is, like, when you're lettering on signs, using like a Sharpie, the ink, because of the type of ink it is, it's going to give you kind of like a purpley color with a black. Like, it doesn't stay like this dark, super, like the color is like not real pigmented. These are made with India ink, so India ink is really, really pigmented, so the color is nice and rich, and that's why I love them. Now, it looks like it's bleeding on here, but it's really not. It's because that watercolor paper is, that's where there was a lot of like that piling, so it made the paper kind of shred a little bit. So there's all different sizes of pens and types of the tips. So you're gonna, kind of determine like what you're lettering. If you're lettering something bigger, you're gonna want to use like a bigger brush tip, like one of these two, right? Or you're just, it's just kind of like a paintbrush. Like, you don't want to use this little tiny paintbrush to paint a big whatever. So you're going to pick like the size of the tip of your pen based on what you're doing. So these two would be like kind of a larger brush tip. And it's a brush tip because it looks like the top of a paintbrush. Kind of, it's kind of like shaped like that. And then this would be like a medium sized brush tip. So see how it's a little bit smaller. So this is the same kind of pen as this, which is also in my starter pack, but I made it a color just to kind of give you some variety. But this in the starter pack is the same one here. So it's just a smaller brush tip, and so you can kind of see. So this would be like a medium-sized brush tip. It's smaller than this, but it's not as small as that. This looks like the whole shape of this is not really the brush. It's just that very tippy top that's black. So there's different sizes of brush pens. Then you have like pens that are like bullet tipped, which is like this. It's just kind of a hard like tip, but it's like a rounded tip. And then there's there's like the super fine point, which is this one here. Like, there's just all different sizes. So when you are purchasing markers, pay attention to that. You don't want like a brush tipped marker like this, then make sure it doesn't say brush. If it says brush, then it's going to be a brush tip. I'm making that too. The thing with the brush tip is that they're not as precise. You have less control over it because it depends on the amount of pressure that you're putting on it. So you can easily make things too wide, too big, really fast. Whereas if you have like more of a like a hard tip, just easier to keep that thickness controlled. So it's like doing this with a paintbrush versus with a marker. Like a paintbrush is gonna, the bristles are gonna spread out and do all that. And I always just say, like, when you're starting out, just test some new things, test some different markers out, see which ones that you like best, and just kind of stick with those. Your lettering will be better if you're not jumping around from when you're just starting out, from different types of markers. Like if you can kind of perfect and learn how to use one that you like really well and be consistent with that one, you'll be better. Because you'll kind of learn the characteristics of that pen, and you'll learn what is good with it and what, make, like, when you do this with it, it gives you this outcome, You all know what I'm trying to say because I smeared this. Leanne, if you're still watching, look, see, I smeared mine. It happens. Thank you, Miss Amy. Let's see. I'm gonna use this for this part. I feel like this pen is running out of ink though. So maybe I'm not gonna use that. I should have ordered extra pens for myself. And I didn't. I just ordered them for the starter kits. And kind of like fix that curve a little bit. Sometimes when you are going over like your shapes that have these curves in them, it's very easy to get them wonky. So I always just go back and like fix any of those at the end and make sure they're all smoothed out. Maybe I should make this a little bigger. I always look at what it looks like on my computer, because sometimes your eyes don't catch things that when you see them like through the lens of a camera, you'll notice things that you may not have noticed before. So sometimes, like especially with like door hangers, I will take a picture of it and then look at that picture, and then I will spot out certain areas that I need to like fix that I never would have spotted out with my eye. It's really weird. I don't know what it is about that, but you notice a lot of things that you wouldn't have noticed otherwise. Okay, I think we're done. Here we go. You could add some cute little shadows or something fancy, but Candy said I would end up with majority of the day doing this. Yes, it can definitely happen very quickly, Candy. So you have to set boundaries for yourself, because I will too. And when I first started, I would sit and like fix and touch up and do things forever. Now it doesn't have, I don't have to do that so much, like as long, but yeah, you can sit and like right now I'm like, oh, okay. That's why I have to like watch myself when I'm teaching, because I will be just like, it doesn't matter if it's perfect. And then I will sit and go, oh, let me fix this real quick. And I'm like, okay, Jennifer, you got to practice what you're preaching here. You know, like it's hard. It's hard. Yes, put one in your craft room. These are cute too, because you can like make these designs, do some kind of cute watercolor background, make, letter on top of it, and you can frame it like and give it to somebody. You could do their name. I am a perfectionist, I am. But I say that that's what made me better at lettering, is just going back and like touching up and doing all that. Helped me learn a lot about lettering. That's what I'm going to tell myself. Amy, you said, oh, you learned that about decorating, is take a picture and see how you like it. Yeah, I don't know, like it has to do with the perspective that you're viewing it in or something. I don't know. It's yeah, y'all do that. Take a picture of your work next time, and then go back and add any little touch-ups that you see through the picture, because you're always going to find things that your eyes don't see. We are busy with moving and selling, and the house isn't even on the market yet, but it should probably be on the market today or tomorrow. Which is, yes, I put the links in the comments for the shop for pens, but my website is just canvassigndesigns.com. You can find all the things there. Let's see. I know, Amy, I need to do another. Amy's asking, when am I going to do another craft night with my friend Amy from Amy and Art Designs? We have talked about it. We both got so slammed in July. I had a couple of reels that just went viral, and I got tons and tons and tons of lettering workbook orders in, and it's all fantastic, but it was not unexpected. It was unexpected. But so I got busy with that. She got busy with some other stuff that she was doing for work. And we have just we used to talk multiple times a day, but we just haven't even had a chance to do that, because we both have just been just busy with work. And so we're going to do one in the fall, but I just don't even know if that's going to happen or not, just because both of us are so busy, but we'll see. We want to, but we want to plan it out and do, like, it just takes some thought and some planning, and we just haven't had the brain space to do that because we're trying to think through, it's too early to be on, think through other things that we have going on in our business. So it's been crazy. It's been crazy. We want to craft together, but it just hasn't, like, we've just been too busy. I know, Juanita, you said you wish the Faber-Castell had the dual tip when you were ordering. I know. I am selling some of these on my site that don't have the dual tip, because these dual tips are brand spanking new, and they're so awesome. I love that. Yeah, it's like 2 pens in one, right? So I ordered a whole bunch for these starter kits, but I only have enough to do my starter kit, so I'm not selling them individually. So if you want one, you have to get it in the starter kit, just because they were out of, I ordered the amount I needed, and then they were out of stock for the rest. So there was none left over. So I have to wait until they get more in. Okay. Let's see here. My internet's being crazy today. Okay. I'm going to get back to work. I mean, this is working, right? But I'm going to get back to making workbooks. Mary says, I love seeing that you are taking your time and it's not a quick process. I somehow thought everyone just fluidly wrote these signs. Okay, so here's the thing, Mary. When you see a lot of videos online on Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever, they are way sped up, like way sped up. And there's two reasons for this. Number one is, like, Facebook, for example, only gives us a certain amount of time. Like, I don't remember if it's 1.5 minutes, I think. It might be 2 minutes now. They've changed it. Oh, sorry. But they only give you a certain amount of time. So, like, 1.5 minutes, I could just only do this, probably. Like, I wouldn't get through anything. So we have to speed up our videos so that you see the whole thing. And number two, we would lose people's interest. Like, the lives are great because we're talking and we're chatting and there's a community aspect of it, right? You're watching me letter, it's relaxing. But sometimes when people are scrolling through, they don't want to watch things in real time. They would prefer to watch things sped up. It keeps our attention more. You know, which then creates us to need things sped up even more. It's like this, like, impatient part of our brain that is now created because of short form video, basically. So we have to edit our videos and do them fast. And so we are not, but it gives the false sense that that is, you know, how long it takes. Like, that everything is super fast and we just flow through things, and that is not the case at all. It takes a long time, and in fact, with lettering, the slower you go, the better. That's one of my, like, top 3 hand lettering tips. Is one of them is to go slow. Go slow, take your time. When I rush my lettering, like, say I'm writing on envelopes or, you know, something like that, and I'm just trying to kind of hurry, I make all kinds of mistakes, because you really need to go very slow and be very mindful and very thoughtful about it. So the way to go is slow. And yeah, I've seen people on videos say, like, oh, could you please slow down? Like, it's hard to tell what you're doing. And I think a lot of people just don't realize like that Facebook only gives us X amount of time to do our reels. So we literally can't go slower. We wouldn't be able to do it. Hey, Valerie, how are you? So yeah, we have to speed things up, and sometimes speeding things up still isn't good enough. We have to like cut some pieces out, and that's why we do it. I wish I could letter that fast, but no. Lettering, most people that hand letter, I promise you, are going very, very slow. Very slow. Do you turn your pen to make the thin lines? No, you control the thin and thick lines based on the amount of pressure that you are putting on your marker. So with a brush pen like this, if I push down, like turn it to its side so you get the whole side piece of this, and press down hard, you're going to get a thicker line. But when I only am using the tip of that and not putting any pressure, I get a thinner line. So push down, lift up, push down, lift up, push down. That gives you your thin and thick lines when you're brush lettering. Now for this right here, I transferred the image on with a pencil, and then I go over it and do kind of like faux calligraphy. And so faux calligraphy would be like where you write out the word and then you go in and kind of make these lines thicker and then color it in. So that's what I typically do for most of my lettering. It's kind of the easiest way to do it. It's the fastest way to do it. Brush lettering is fun, but it does take a lot of practice to kind of get used to lifting up and pushing pressure. Like it's a whole different skill in itself. And if you start by teaching people this, a lot of times they're going to take off running because they're going to be like, oh my gosh, it's too hard, it's overwhelming, and I can't do it. So faux calligraphy is a good, easy way to achieve the same look, but without having to master this skill. So the enjoy the practice sheet, unfortunately, this is just a sheet that I had in my Happy Lettering Club this month with their downloads. They get, so the Happy Lettering Club is like my paid membership group for lettering. I do weekly classes in there. So I kind of go on the back end and really explain the entire process very slowly and, you know, give them like very detailed tutorials, classes, if you will. I do those weekly in that group. And they also get like 10 to 12 downloads each month at the beginning of the month. And they will be like different phrases or different designs. They get those that they can download and use. So I just grabbed one of those for this lesson today. And I just traced over one of those. So this particular one is not available, but there are some, I'm working on some free downloads, lettering worksheet downloads to give out to y'all. I was trying to think, if you're in my free lettering group for the Love of Letters, if you look at the featured section at the top, there's some spring ones that you could download and use those to practice with. Those are free. And I try to kind of periodically give out free ones. I just haven't had time to make any free ones, any new free ones. So there's that. But it's coming. Candy, your workbook is coming. And your pens are coming. That's what I'm about to finish up, like stacks and stacks. I got another stack of workbooks here. You can't see it. I got another stack of workbooks here. Just a whole slew of them. You see right here, ready. That's what I'm about to get to. Because I got so many orders that I am just, you know. but I had to, I canceled this last week. I didn't want to cancel it this week again. So I came, we lettered, we had fun, and now I must get back to work. But here we go. Here's the final process. But you could print out any like lettering design and do the same same process with it, same technique with it. Anything will work. So, okay. Well, y'all have a good day, and I hope I gave you some inspiration and just a little reassurance that, you know, good things take time, right? Okay, I'll see you guys later. Have a good, happy, I was about to say Thursday, Tuesday.